Welcome to SoCal Sports Report's weekly podcast. John Stellman with Vince Morales and John Adams. And we got a loaded show for you tonight, so let's get right to the lineup. We're talking about the run to the Cup. The Stanley Cup playoffs have opened tonight. There's games in progress right now. Kings will be playing later, and the Ducks will open tomorrow night. Ohtani will talk about his latest heroics. In fact, he drove in a run tonight with a base hit early for the Angels. Dodgers, when does it end and when does it start? They've had a difficult beginning, and they should get well against Oakland. That's one chance. Clippers go bye-bye. It's the first time since 2004-2005 that LA has not been represented in the postseason. We'll discuss where the Clippers go from here. And I know John is not a favorite of Bonzo, but we're going to have to talk about that a little bit about that Junior Basketball Association.
You guys can talk about it.
Yeah, I think that they should kick the NC2A in the butt and get them off their wraps. I haven't seen any Charger or Ram activity. We'll discuss that if anything has happened. John will wrap up the Masters. And we had a scoreless soccer weekend that will be thrilling to review. Let's start it off with the Kings and the Vegas Golden Knights, who opened their first round series in about 15 minutes. The Kings have really finished. They finished 6-2-2 in their last 10. Vegas has struggled. They were 6-5-1. They lost their finale. They got blown out 7-1 by Calgary. Kings played them tough during the season. They won those. They swept those 2 games back to back to 3-2 and 4-1. So they've got confidence. They've got some guys that were on those 2012, 2014 Cup teams. Jeff Carter's back. He's had 13 goals, 6 assists since he came back on the 24th of Feb. Jake Muzzin's probably still a question mark. But what are your thoughts, Vinny, on the Kings and the Golden Knights?
I think you touched on it. Yes, they've got one Jake back, but the other Jake doesn't look like he's going to be available for the opener. And the fewer games that he plays, the less chance the Kings have of taking that series. Anytime you got Jonathan Quick in the pipes, you got a chance to take a series, but I don't have a lot of confidence in this team. I don't think that the Knights match up very well. The Kings don't match up very well with the Knights. The Knights are a very fast team. They forecheck just tenaciously. They have 4 lines that they pour out there, and there isn't much of a drop-off in the speed, the forechecking. They don't have like a goon line, slow grinding line. It's a really fascinating team in that regard, and a fascinating story in that they're an expansion team. Exactly. And we've talked about this over the course of the year, that they've really picked the cream of the Bach, so to speak, because and they've done a lot. And so right now the Kings are looking across the bench and thinking, we have to elevate our game, and the Knights are just thinking we just have to play ours.
And the Knights also have that goalie who's got Stanley Cup experience. That's not going to hurt at all.
Yeah. I think the pros for the Kings are that, like you said, the 2012, 2014 experience in the Stanley Cup. They've got a lot of guys who have tasted it before and certainly want it again. Quick in the pipes, Carter back. But I think with no Muzzin and your defense limited and young and thin, that just bodes poorly against a team like the Knights.
Yeah, I think it's exactly what you guys discussed. It's Fleury versus Quick. I think that's a real big way to look at it. I think they're both just outstanding playoff, caliber and Stanley Cup caliber goalies, right? So that's a big thing. And I tell you what I think is a little scary is that is Vegas is 29-10-2 at home, and that place is going to be pumping like no other. I mean that place that team has pretty much got everybody coming, to support it, right? The one thing I think the Knights, and I do see where you're talking about, Vince, about how fast they are, and how they really push the puck. I think the one thing is, they don't have a Kopitar and they don't have a Doughty, right? They do have a bunch of other guys, and if I'm the coach, I'm just going to say, hey, look, we're not supposed to be here. Go out and have fun, right? And just keep playing the hockey you've been playing. But again, I think this is a series that is going to have to be for the Kings to really establish themselves against them. Kopitar and Doughty have to play very, very good hockey, where you don't have those kind of names on that side with Vegas. So I think, Kopitar has to keep playing great hockey, and Doughty needs to keep, doing what he's doing on the back end. And then, I think Quick will do his job, right? So I actually kind of think that the Kings, I know that you get a little scared, Vince. I think overall, but it's, again, you have some playoff ready guys there with the Kings.
Yep.
And I don't know how many you have other than your goalie on that side, right? You have a couple you have a couple guys, right? But again, in my mind, you're not even supposed to be there. So just go. I mean, in my mind, if I'm coaching, I'm like, go keep playing like you've been playing and go do what you need to do. But I think Kopitar and Doughty are going to be the key guys there to.
This is a whole new season, though. This is not the regular season. And I don't know how they do have some young players on that team. I don't know if they're going to adapt. They're going to have to switch. And you say just play your game. I don't think playing their game is going to be good, because the Kings know what it takes to win Stanley Cup. They're going to have to elevate their game, I think, even though they've
and they're getting them on. Not a good finish, right? But
Right.
5-3-2 to finish the last 10 games. So that's good. And the Kings are 6-2-2. So I mean, Kings in my mind are obviously playing better hockey than they are. So. In fact, after breaking down the Sharks and Ducks game, I almost feel like I'd rather play Vegas than the Sharks. So I looked at things. So.
I kind of gave my objective viewpoint on how the series is going to play out, and I don't mean to sound too doom and gloom. And so now I'll give the side of the fan, which is Carter has been. His return has really elevated this team. Mm-hmm. Things are different. This team plays better. Kopitar, Brown, having career-type years at a time when you wouldn't expect big jumps. But based off of last year, we saw this team really suffering. A new coach, behind the bench, made a lot of difference for them. Again, we said it before. Quick can win you 4 games. All on his own. Standing on his head. Yeah. A shutout here. He stands on his head for one of those games in Vegas, and now all of a sudden that 29-2 home team is sort of doubting themselves. And then for me, it's if Muzzin can come back and play sharp, you never know. That adds a ton more depth, a ton more experience. He's the key for me. He's the key. Jake Carter, Jake Muzzin, those guys need to be there. Carter obviously is back; he's healthy. Muzzin, I don't know.
I think it's extremely important for the Kings to score first, or at least early. Mm-hmm. Take that crowd out, take a little momentum out, and get them pumped.
They got every political figure in Vegas behind this place, so it's. I mean, and you know what? Good for them. It's going to be really exciting, right? It's great. And they're in a. Even if they lose, they're going to love them, right? Because in their mind in Vegas, we're not supposed to be here, right? Exactly. And now you're giving us our first year. You're giving us the playoffs. Are you kidding me? Against LA?
Playoffs.
Yeah.
What?
So yeah. So I think I think it's been great for NHL, right? Great for hockey, right?
Oh,
so
of course it has. Yeah.
So.
You guys care to predict how that series is going to turn out?
I've got the Kings in 6.
Yeah, I see it the Knights in 7.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got the Kings in 6. I got the Kings getting a split in Vegas, sweeping at home, losing Game 5, winning it at home.
Wow. Vegas in 7. Vinny. Well, Vinny just wants to go straight to baseball right now. He just wants
well, if the Dodgers were playing better, I'd say yeah.
He would have said Vegas in 4 if the Dodgers were
exactly.
He's got nowhere to go after hockey.
right.
I got no place else to go.
All right, how about the Ducks and the Sharks? John, why don't you lead off on this one?
Yeah, I started breaking it down and I got a little scared. Now, and a positive is what I got here. The Sharks in at 5-4-1, so that's a positive on the last 10 games. But they're very strong with their forward. Having Joe Thornton out is going to be a key, right? He's a great player,
Yeah.
but they have 6 guys that are just really strong, and 4 of them have over 32 points. I think 2 of them have 40 points for this season, right? They're very strong, and then the Evander Kane trade through the trade deadline might be one of the best players through the trade that has actually been very beneficial.
Right.
I think they're 12-6-1 or something like that when he's come over. But I get a little scared about how strong they are up front, right? And with Fowler out, right? So since Fowler's out, we've had, it was 2.75 goals per game. Without him, we're at 3.13. The power play and the penalty kill are worse since he's been gone.
Yeah, well,
so I get a little scared there. But again, we have the best 1-2 punch with goalies, right? And I think in the NHL, right? With Gibson to Miller. So I'm very comfortable in those regards, right? But I think Getzlaf needs to shoot the puck more. He needs to be more on the offensive side.
More aggressive, yeah.
Right? And I think the guys like, Manson and Montour have to step up because Fowler's not there and be able to, Now, the good thing is we have a lot of guys. I think we have like 6 guys that have played over 90-something games in the playoffs and the Stanley Cup. So we have a lot of depth there, right? So I do like the way that we finished the season at 8-1-1. I like how the Sharks have finished their season to be, mediocre at best. So I like that momentum. I like that we're getting home ice advantage. But I think it's going to be scary, right? So I think the key to us to be successful here is we need to keep that puck on the other side of that blue line, or to really have those forwards not on our side. Because if we're playing defense a majority of the time, it's going to be a struggle.
Yeah, losing Fowler was huge. I mean, he's a leader of that penalty kill and the power play, and that really hurt. But I like the way the Ducks finished the season. 5 in a row against, when their backs were to the wall. They were, the playoff positioning was in play. They played quality teams. They played good teams. Didn't play,
Right. No.
And then they shut them down.
And crucial games, right?
Exactly.
And what I like about it is, other than, I think, Winnipeg, they have the best record in the last 10 games. I think Winnipeg was 9-1.
Yeah,
so you're right. We're playing, and we talked about it a long time ago. We were really hurt, through the middle of the season, right? Beginning the middle of the season. But we always said if we can just get in the playoffs, but going into the playoffs had a lot of good momentum, we'll be that scary team to beat. And that's exactly how we finished, right? Yeah. So now can this carry over, right?
Those last 5 games that they did win were all like playoff games,
right? No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And we won a lot of crucial games in overtime, right? So we played great hockey in the third period, which is the most important time, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Yeah, I think the one uptick for the Ducks, and part of the reason that I pick them in this series is that Joe Thornton is not going to play in the first game and may not. We don't know when he's going to be back. I mean, he has said straight up that he's going to come back when he knows he can play 28 games, right? 100% for 28 games, right? That's how you got to look at it. He's not going to come back and think, well, I'm going to try and just get through this one game.
Yeah.
He wants to get through this series, all the series, and win a Stanley Cup. That's when he's coming back. But, at some point, the writing's going to be on the wall, and if he can go, he's got to go.
Right.
How are you picking this series, John?
I'm going to pick actually the Ducks in 6. I see them winning in San Jose.
I got the Ducks in 7.
I don't want it to go 7.
I've got them in 5.
Wow, I could see that.
I got him at 5.
Who do you have? I'm just kidding. I know who you picked.
I've got what do I got?
He's got Edmonton.
Got a split. Got a split up there. Ducks sweep at home, and then lose up there and win game 5 at home. I got them in 5. So we got 5, 6, and 7 on that.
5, 6, and 7. Yeah.
All right. Do we want to talk about any other playoff games or not?
I really don't. I didn't really look into it too
either.
much.
It's too early.
I think it's a little early.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and obviously, I remember as we did this last year, and we were all over Washington, and then Washington get beat in the first round.
they didn't even go.
Yeah,
Go
yeah,
to the final.
yeah. So, I mean, there's another time where Washington's like they're finishing the last 10 games like 8-2, and they're and then they just
Yeah.
Flamed.
yeah.
But one of the scores we saw, Pittsburgh 7, Flyers nothing. The Penguins
Wow.
looking
they just know
good.
how to play in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They really do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're the 2-time defenders, aren't they?
Yep.
Yeah, it feels like they're going to make short work of the Flyers.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
And that's and tell you these are long. These can be long series, and you want to be as fresh as you can going in those last 2 series.
Oh, yeah.
So if you can win in 4 or 5, that's golden. So
All right. Let's take a little look at the Angels and their incredible start. Ohtani drove in another run tonight early. He was named the Player of the Week last week, not only for his 3 home runs and .462 batting average, but his 2.08 ERA and 7 shutout innings, 6 1/3 of which were no hit against the A's. I like the way the Scioscia's using him. He didn't use him the first 2 games, or he wouldn't have used him Monday, but he could have used him last night. He didn't. I like the idea of giving him probably more than 1 day rest, either before or after he pitches, because it's going to be interesting to see what happens to this guy in late August, early September. He hasn't played a grind like that. And I coming off the injury last year, when he didn't play that much, I like the way Scioscia's using him. But I had something here that it might be worth thinking about. Ichiro won the MVP in 2001 and Rookie of the Year, both Rookie of the Year and the MVP. Hit .350, 242 hits, 56 steals. Of course, Seattle was 116 wins. But what if Ohtani hits 15 home runs and wins 15 games? Would that be credentials enough, for at least conversation in the most valuable? I think he's going to get the. I can't see anybody else stealing that Rookie of the Year award from him unless he just completely collapses.
Yeah. For me, the element that's missing is you telling me how many games the Angels will win, or whether they make the playoffs.
Well, if they make the playoffs,
again, if we assume those things, that they're in the playoffs, or they are close to the Astros, and then I would say that 15-15 absolutely puts him in the realm of talking about him as an MVP. If that's an 81 win Angels team, it's like absolutely not. It's just a sideshow.
I was presuming prematurely that they would make the playoffs, but
and if that's what you're suggesting, that he hits 15, he wins 15, and the Angels are in the playoffs, then absolutely he's in the discussion.
Yeah.
No doubt. But I just don't want you to put the cart before the horse.
No.
Right?
Yeah, because when I look at Ohtani and what he's doing in there, and the fact that his velocity is there, and that he was rope-a-doping us during the spring, my question is like, oh my God, what if nobody else pitches? Because there's some indication that the rest of this starting rotation could have some big struggles. And then what happens when, in a high leverage situation, in a high leverage game in August, Scioscia's got to go to him more and more and more, because he can't trust anybody else. Well, that's the thing that I worry about.
When you say go to him more, as in to pitch.
Yeah,
I think they're in a situation, because it's his first year, that they're going to just stay on his they're going to stay on his routine.
Yeah.
Which it wouldn't surprise me, and you know how superstitious baseball guys are. It wouldn't surprise me if he's your Sunday starter every week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Then my question is that it's the end of August, right? Let's say it's the end of August, and you're 3 games back of the wild card, right? And you're looking around for arms. He's on his 4th day of rest, and you got to go to somebody who's got a 4.7 ERA. To me, that's like skip that guy, go to Ohtani, but you're saying just keep the rotation.
No,
keep the rotation.
again, now you know.
So that's
again,
but what I'm saying is that's the problem.
I can see that, but I guarantee you that. I guess it's hard to. Time will tell, and we'll see how that goes. But there might be a deal where hey, we're gonna play Houston, and then we're gonna go play Texas the next deal, and I'd rather throw him against Houston than I would Texas. I just really think the first year they're just going to keep to his routine and say you're going to take the day off before you start, and the day after you start you're going to take off, and then from that point on we're going to hit you on these days, and then you're going to start either Saturday or Sunday, right? So right now I kind of see that's the way it's going, but I can see changes maybe after the All-Star game, right?
Yeah.
All right. So let's see how the first half goes. But I think right now they're just going to stay with this whole routine and this whole 6-man. Now, that being said, we just lose J.C. Ramirez, right? We got Haney that's due back any time now. Like he's due back this week, right? And then you got a guy like Shoemaker that is now kind of a coin flip. So you bring up the kid Jaime Barrera, right? He's thrown 5 innings, and he's given up 1 hit,
Home run.
3 strikeouts, and so we're winning 5-1 in the 8th. In the 8th. So I'm sorry, I'm trying to get some stats here, but going into this kid was in Inland Empire last year, right? In Class A ball.
Class A.
Right? He's worked his way up. He's only thrown 4 innings in AAA, and he's worked his way up into being the number 6 prospect in the Angels minor league system. And to be honest with you, that's not saying a lot, right?
Yeah.
So the deal is, where I get a little scared is, okay, so here we go. So they just brought in Ramirez. So he went 5 innings pitched, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 3 walks, and 3 Ks. Hallelujah, right? Yeah. That's great. So can Tropiano do the same thing, right? So we got 2 number 4s that are kind of like number 6s, right? To be honest with you, but our number 6 is actually like our number 2, right? So,
I don't.
I just the scary thing about it is if these kids like a Tropiano or maybe a Bridwell or whatever, and maybe this kid Bahia, they kind of hold their own. They do the J.C. Ramirez this year, from last year, right? Yeah. And hold their own. The problem is, John, after that, it's really bad. Like, we have no depth in pitching. I mean, we're talking about the kid from Kansas City that we picked up that Kansas City didn't want.
Oh, yeah.
And
Kansas City doesn't
Almonte didn't want him, right? And then we have Castillo and Jake Jewell. These guys are bullpen guys that, are guys that you put in when, you're getting beat by 10. So,
Shoemaker, nobody ever... No, every time he gets hurt, it's going to be a couple of, it's a 10-day DL.
Yeah.
It's a 10-day DL. A 10-day DL.
So like a guy like, I know we're going to talk about the Dodgers later, but the Dodgers have been known to have depth in pitching, right? Down in the minors.
Right.
And we're walking on thin ice. The Haney, it's crucial for Haney to go the rest of the season, and maybe he's only out for 10 days here and there, right?
Yeah,
and so that's a key, because that adds another left-handed arm in that lineup, right? So
Skaggs got the win last night, but he struggled.
He did.
119 pitches for
5 innings. And then the night before, Garrett Richards was throwing great for 3 innings, and then all of a sudden he struggled. Mm-hmm. And these guys were throwing 100 pitches in 5 and 6 innings. That's not. And you could tell, because Scioscia, if Scioscia wanted to go get him so fast, but he's like, the kid probably went in and said, "Look, I have to go 5. I want to get this win. We're up 9-1." But Scioscia's also going, you're at 100 pitches, and it's your second start or third start.
They say he didn't even start in AAA. His thing got rained out. His one starting AAA got rained out like 1 or 2 innings or something. I heard coming in that his last actual pitching was in spring training. Was his
Yeah.
last
So
time.
I mean, what's been really exciting, we talked about earlier, is they're leading the majors probably in I think every
got-
single offensive category
Yeah.
except maybe one, and then they've scored 45 runs with 2 outs. 52% of their runs have been with 2 outs.
That's really-
which you know what?
that's great.
That's just great. That's just great hitting, right? That's just great. And it's funny, you look at some of these guys, your superstars, and they're hitting 220 and this, but it's all the little guys, Marte and
Oh, yeah.
and
Rivera tonight.
Rivera, and then in Maldonado, right? Like these guys that you don't expect. They're Simmons is actually still hitting the ball really well, but they're kind of everybody's picking up on everybody, and that's just leads to just great baseball. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Tonight, I know the first 2 runs, there were 2 out, nobody on, and they had 6, 7, 8, and 9.
Mm-hmm.
Those 4 guys all got hits. They drove in the 2 runs.
Yeah.
Bottom of the
So
order.
I think with going back to the Ohtani situation is I'm really interested in what happens this weekend. I mean, he won his first 2
I
games
wish they were-
by 4 to a 4-7 Oakland team. He's gonna face the World Series champion.
No, I screwed that up.
Oh, aren't they playing Houston this
I
weekend?
thought they were. They're
Oh,
playing
it's
Kansas City.
City. Okay.
Yeah,
and it's supposed to be what 40 degrees probably there.
Yeah,
45.
you think you'd go from Texas to Houston. I mean, that makes
Yeah, it's right there. Yeah, I thought they were playing Houston.
I did
okay.
too.
So it's Kansas City. Okay, so.
So they really haven't played. Cleveland's the only quality team they've
Yeah.
really played.
Yeah, and they played great against them, though.
Yeah, 7 games against
yeah.
Oakland.
But still,
Texas,
it's
Kansas City.
it's early, and I mean, I know the Dodgers are playing the A's right now, and but I've been listening to the games, and it's like, well, the Triple A's are not that bad. I mean, they still have
The
won.
Triple A's.
They've won 4 games.
No, they're scrappy. They're scrappy.
They're
yeah.
among the top
Yeah.
in batting average.
Right.
So I'm thinking in those 2 games that they couldn't hit a lick off Ohtani. I mean, if you throw those games out, they'd be tops in the majors
Right.
in batting. I mean, it's
Yeah.
so I don't understand.
What I liked about it is Ohtani went against an ace too. Is it Graveland or whatever his name
Oh,
is?
that-
Oakland, right? He's a pretty good pitcher.
Twice.
Yeah,
Twice,
and the Angels just worked him for a lot of big counts. He threw a lot of pitches early, but I like that he went against an ace and pitched like an ace, right?
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And Cleveland, like you say, Cleveland had owned the Angels, 16 or 12 in a row or something, and they took them 2 out of 3. So.
And by the way, the buzz when I guess the buzz in Anaheim in the stadium is just crazy when he's pitching.
Well, how about that Sunday game?
The Sunday game,
44,000.
Yeah, exactly.
More than
And-
opening day.
Yeah, and did you see what happened in Chicago?
That's 43,000 more than the Marlins got, I think.
Well, the opening day in Chicago, right, for the White Sox, it was snowed, right? But so they were able to scrape it all off because of the lake effect, right? And they sold 10,000 seats to their opening day game. 530 of them showed up to an opening day game in Chicago. And by the way, I don't know if you've looked at it, but baseball's got to look really seriously about this year. These East Coast teams need to start on the West Coast.
They got to start on the West Coast.
They really
There's no
got
doubt
it. And
about
I
that.
don't know if it's 2 weeks maybe. I don't
Yeah,
know what they
yeah.
need to do. But I'll tell you this much. The attendance is down dramatically.
Well, it's terrible.
I mean, even watching the Texas game last night, I mean, there's nobody in the
nobody.
stands.
The Jets,
right?
right? Too. Yeah.
But baseball is. I mean, these attendances are down bad on the East Coast, except for your New York Boston games.
Yeah.
They
I
got in a
heard,
scuffle tonight. I heard.
I heard an ESPN guy a couple of weeks ago. They were talking about that very subject. He was saying it's colder in the East during the first week in October. Colder. No, it's warmer in the last week than it's colder
October.
in March.
Yeah,
It's colder in March
than
than
it
in
is in October. Yeah, exactly.
At
But
the
I
end of
seriously think like exactly what Boston did. Right? They came right out of spring training and they went and played the Marlins in Tampa. Well, they also should have went to play somebody else. That's
Go play interleague against Atlanta. Or something.
right. Yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah, they're going to have to do something about those schedules because it's ridiculous to.
So
yeah. Opening day in Chicago.
900.
Right?
Well, they had to cancel the first opening day, which
Right,
was
yeah.
Monday. 974 people. The paid attendance was announced during the game as 10,377, but the actual attendance, people turn in the turnstiles, 974.
Okay. Wow.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and then
But who wants to see the Rays and the White Sox, right?
And then the ball
in April in
and
snow.
Baltimore had a really low low attendance due to one of their games.
Yeah.
So I think they need to really seriously look at that because that.
Getting back to some of the Angels stats, which you alluded to, 286, tops of the majors,
Yeah.
tied with Pittsburgh. 79 runs as tops, 128 hits, 20 home runs, with all due respect to Stanton and Judge, 73 RBIs, 478 slugging, and 214 total bases.
Yeah,
Now, I know that's going to cool
I'm
off.
looking at the RBI totals. You got Upton with 10, Trout with 9, Simmons with 8, and then Ohtani has 7 RBI,
Right.
and then Maldonado, Valbuena, and Pujols have 6, and then a bunch of guys have 5, and 2 guys have 5, and there's all sorts of RBIs. I look at the Dodgers, and they've got 1 guy with 4 RBI. That's it. That's the tops on the team. That's Kike Hernandez, who's hitting 148. So the guy's hitting 148. He's got 4 RBIs, and he leads the team in RBI. That's crap.
We talked about this last week, but nothing has changed. I mean, what are we going to do?
No, nothing has changed. Roberts is waiting for the wheels to come off this thing, and wait for these guys to kick it back into gear.
Does he expect that as soon as Turner returns, everybody's going to start hitting 300? Is that what he expects?
I wouldn't. I
wouldn't
mean,
either.
I would start.
No, I mean,
I would
there's-
start piecing this puzzle around, and maybe I don't know.
Well, I mean, you just all you have to do is look at it, and you can tell Jock is not the guy. He's hitting 125, and that's clear. And that it's not clear to Roberts. Again, are they worried about his psyche? Are they worried about diminishing his value? He's dreadful. He's awful, and he's not that much better defensively that you need him. And he can't hit lefties. He's just terrible. There's no reason to have him.
I'm not going to worry about a guy's psyche if he can't perform.
How's
No.
Toll's been doing in the minors?
Tolles is fine, and I don't even care if he hasn't gotten a hit in the minors.
Right.
He needs to be up at the
Right.
big.
Yeah,
he needs
I
to be
agree.
up with the
I
big
agree.
squad.
He makes things happen.
Oh, yeah.
But again, it's just up and down the line. It's Taylor 209, Seager 211, Puig 209, right? Forsythe 167, Kike Hernandez 148, Farmer 182, Jock 125. So then you got Kemp is Grandal 321, 1 home run, 3 RBI. Kemp 308, 1 home run, 3 RBI. There's just no sock on this team.
Right.
And
And you're hitting.
they hit back-to-back home runs. So they hit
Who's your hitting
back-to-back
instructor?
home runs.
Oh.
They hit back-to-back home runs yesterday to start the game. And before that, they had, I think, 8 home runs? 4 home runs? No, it was 4. That's right. They had 4 home runs
Looking for,
because they hit 3 last night.
7 altogether.
Yeah, so they have 7 total. They had 4 home runs coming in last night's game and hit 3 last night.
Batting 224 as a team. 26th in baseball.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's just,
What's the pitching ERA?
well, pitching 2.47.
Wow.
They've got a
Pitching's good.
1.13
Wow.
WHIP. They've given up just 8 home runs. But again, you take
No
the
support.
magnifying glass out and you look at that and you go, there are problems, right? Kershaw 3 home runs in 19 innings. Kenley 2 home runs, 5 hits, 2 walks in 4.2 innings.
Wow.
Velocity way down. And a guy who's arguing with reporters saying, you care, fans don't care, it's not my mechanics, I don't care what Roberts says, it's not my mechanics.
Right.
And then a week later, yeah, I'm working on my mechanics. Well, of course you are.
Athletics A's, your triple A's 2, Dodgers 0.
Yeah.
Davis homered.
He's their one big
Yeah.
stud.
Yeah.
Who's pitching tonight?
I'm not really even sure.
Yeah.
Kershaw, maybe? I thought.
Give up another one then. Oh.
So you have no prescription for...
The prescription is you need Farmer, Jock. Okay, we've tried them for 10 games.
Get him out of here.
Get them out. Let's bring Tolles back up.
Yeah.
Let's figure it out. Verdugo, whoever you got to do. The whole again. At the end of the season, you could say, "Oh, okay, this is interesting. He's keeping 3 catchers because 2 of those guys can play in the field." It's like if 2 of those guys can play in the field, but they can't hit.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
That Verdugo can only play in the outfield. I just flat out don't care.
Yeah.
So the Golden Knights are on top of the Kings 1-0 already. And 5 minutes into the first. Ouch.
It's a long game.
It's Alex Wood is pitching tonight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 2 in the
But
first.
so I wonder how the front office is handling all this. They're not going
It's
to.
a small sample size, and I'm not really sure what they're trying to do. Again, Jock is almost out of options as well, so I get that they're worried about that. I think they're also worried about his psyche. He's just not a major league hitter anymore, in my opinion. And I've said it before that he's ever since running into Puig, he's been very tentative in the outfield as well. And so I don't see him as a guy who's going to run into a wall to catch a ball or run full speed ahead into a gapper between him and Puig. I think when Puig rang his bell, it shook something loose because he's been terrible.
Yeah, he
Can't hit. He just can't hit.
He's been very tentative.
Yeah, and you just can't look at what he did in the postseason. I mean, you can't get sentimental about that.
Yeah,
You got to win games to get you to the postseason.
Yeah, and that's last year. We got to worry about
Yeah.
this year and moving forward. What are before we get into something else in this early season? Has there been anything that's surprised you guys in the major leagues or disappointed you guys in the major leagues? Dodgers would be a disappointment, but any team or player that's
Well, I think it's quite interesting that Stanton with New York has had 2 games now where he's struck out 5 times.
Right.
yeah.
He struck out more times than Joe DiMaggio struck out the whole entire season in 1941 or something like that. And they said that there's only one other guy that has actually struck out 5 times, 3 times, in 3 games. It's like Langford or something like that for a while back. But so I still think it's too early to.
Yeah.
I think things have gotten quite interesting just late. I mean, Nolan Arenado charged the mound today.
Saw that.
There was a little scuffle between the Yankees and the Red Sox tonight on a slide. But I think these guys are just starting to get into it. I think obviously Ohtani's been the talk, right? About I think it's great for Major League Baseball. But I don't know. I don't think anything's really kind of come out to really kind of say, this is a big positive or that's a big negative. I would say the big negative, obviously, is this weather and the attendance down. And we're seeing a lot of baseball players, where you can't even recognize who they are because they're wearing masks over their face.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know. Is it do you kind of push everything out? But NFL football will eliminate that. So. Because that's the big sport, right, in the United States. So I don't know if you can actually push it more into October and let it start later. Or do you eliminate games, and have a bigger spring training? I don't know what you do.
Yeah.
You could
I think if you live in Chicago or Baltimore, I think if somebody were to ask you, would you rather play a game in April or a game in October? I think they'd say April. So I don't think that moving it back just completely out of hand to push games into October is the right way to go. April's typically a little warmer than it has been. It's officially spring, whereas October is officially fall. So
and you can't start the season in say spring training, right? Because you got American League and National League teams all over the mix, let alone, I know for sure when we were out in Tempe, we found out that the Angels don't control the tickets. The county of Tempe, Arizona controls the tickets. So it's not like the Angels are in control of that ticket and all that stuff. That's the county. So I think it's the county or the city or whatever. So it's not like you can, push push that way, that direction, to where you can start this season and, really in, not in your home ballpark. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I know it's Mother Nature, right? It's going to happen, here and there, but I don't know. I'm curious to see overall attendance by the end of the year. Do people just wait and say, I'm just going to go when it's warm, or doable?
Exactly. Speaking about talking about Tempe and about Arizona, you guys were out there. You saw our old buddy Jake Formansky out there.
Yes. Jake's now Jake has worked from being a ticket guy for the Dodgers and the White Sox, and Jake is now he's on the grounds crew for the Arizona Diamondbacks. So
That's great.
he's making sure that field looks proper and put together, and so far he's enjoyed it. So
We call him Jake the Rake now.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
So next time you're watching a Dodger Diamondback game out in the desert, check out that.
Right.
He might be-
manicured
Right.
infield.
And if something takes a bad hop on one of the infielders, it's got.
Well, Jake.
Damn it,
Jake
Jake.
might be the only guy that's raking the dirt at Arizona wearing a Ducks hat or an Angel cap too. So
Well, he contributed very mightily to this podcast, and we're always thankful for contributions he did make. Like to keep.
he's
up.
having fun. I know for sure
That's
he's having
good.
fun.
That's
We
good.
saw him, and he's really enjoying it out there.
That's great.
Nice to be at the yard every day, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, can't beat that. Switching gears to basketball, the Clippers.
Wait, before you switch to basketball, did you want to mention Dodgers?
Oh yeah, let's mention that. Yeah, the All-Star game coming. Coming
Yeah,
to LA.
for the first time, right? For 40 years?
40 years.
Yeah, Dodgers
I don't get it.
1980.
Dodgers get the
1980.
All-Star.
2020.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why
Dodgers
it took
get the
so long.
2020 All-Star game. Yeah, what took so long?
Well, there's been two All-Star games in Anaheim, two All-Star games in San Diego since the Dodgers last hosted an All-Star game.
I think part of it was there were plenty of years before there were upgrades. So again, the major league offices like to make sure that things are suitable and improved and renovated. And there was a time there before the renovations happened, and then there was a time when the McCourts were in there, and I think they just weren't going to have. Nothing was happening. They didn't know, and as far as I was concerned, it was a good thing they didn't give the All-Star game to the Dodgers at that point. But now things are better shaped. The field is a gem again. She doesn't look her age. And I think that now they've done some renovations on the outside. It's a better fan experience. And so 2020 can't get here soon enough.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
No, I mean, and all I heard was how happy Major League Baseball was for having the All-Star game. Last time it was in San Diego. They loved it. I mean, entertainment-wise, it's in the city. Now LA's cleaned up. I mean, you have the whole downtown LA scene, and
LA
that's
Live.
cleaned
Downtown
up.
Live,
And and I just think it's I did hear something that I didn't know about, but did Kirk Gibson throw out your first pitch, I guess,
He did.
at the deal?
he did.
So I heard today through my work that in right field where his ball landed, they have a little seat
Yes.
that says 88 or
Yes.
something like
It's
that.
painted blue, and
Yeah.
it's got his signature on
I
it.
think it's great. So because we actually had some Dodger hats that came in with his signature on it.
And what is
And
it?
it's-
It's $350 a game or something.
It's sold out for the rest of the year.
It's $350.
It's just sit in right field.
But it's full on service.
Oh, got the whole deal.
Yeah.
So this guy's getting a hot dog, and this guy can have a
And part of the proceeds go to Gibson's
His foundation.
his foundation.
Oh, great.
And it's sold out for the rest of the year.
That's awesome.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, he was a great baseball player, man, to watch. He was.
Yeah, he played it the right way.
He did.
Yeah.
Absolutely right.
Yeah, I like those.
Because he's still commentating a little bit, right, for the Detroit Tigers.
I don't know.
He's back in Michigan.
He might be.
I did see something come up. I think his name is Zimmerman. Got hit in the head tonight with a line drive pitcher for Detroit.
Yeah.
So
Okay, now we'll move on to the Clippers, who
Yeah.
should have. They took the season as far as they could. They should have been eliminated. I don't know why they prolonged the agony because it was inevitable. Where do they go from here? I mean, they've completely dismantled the team.
Yeah. And I wish was there, Corey, so we could smack him around and tell him, "Where's your Messiah now, Corey?"
Yeah, exactly.
I looked. I mean, I had some doubts about it, and I thought the trade was a good one, but for me to step back and look at it, and and not being a Clippers fan, I kept saying, who's the face of your franchise?
Yeah.
Right. Got rid of Blake Griffin. Maybe he wasn't the guy. Chris Paul decided to move on. He's no longer the face of your franchise. Two big all-time guys whom you at some point you would have thought about putting their numbers in the rafters.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Gone. And now it seems like a real hodgepodge of guys. And if they don't make a big splash in free agency, but they're a little locked up. I mean, DeAndre can opt out, right? Player option.
It wouldn't shock me if he did.
And it wouldn't shock me, but he's making a lot of money. 24 million, right?
Yeah.
24 million. Right? So if the feelers are out there and he's not going to get a $28 million contract or something outlandish, but now, for me, I sometimes just say, sometimes there needs to be that common sense guy who just sort of taps you on the shoulder and says, "You're going to pay that guy $28 million? Is he the face of your franchise? Is he going to sell you $28 million worth of jerseys and caps and merchandise?" No.
Yeah,
he's a nice guy. Yeah. He's fun. He's a charming guy.
But you got a guy that
personality.
the owner's got a ton of money. So I'm really curious to see how this whole thing partakes in this next year. Because,
right.
Who's out there that's big names that can come be your franchise?
Well,
that they're gonna,
obviously LeBron.
Well, of course. But, I don't know if he wants to.
Or Paul George.
Again, but like the Clippers have young guys, right, set to kind of work with these guys. I just don't know if the Clippers have that. Like, it's almost like they're starting all over again.
Lakers have a better young core than the Clippers.
Yeah. So I think for George and LeBron, like that's the angle I want to go there and they're starting to eliminate,
right, but
money to have that. But I look at the Clippers situation. You pointed it out; they don't have a lot of money to spend.
No,
and who is out there that's going to be your new face? Of your franchise?
Let me play the devil's advocate. Okay. Let me pretend I'm Corey for a second. LeBron free agency. Who would he rather play with? A team that has a center, right? That has a point guard, that has some shooters. A guy like Sweet Lou. Who would he rather play with? Or a team that has to get rid of their starting center in order to make cap room for him, a power forward who's essentially in his spot right now, Julius Randle, who has proven to be the best guy on the team, who they're thinking about moving because he's going to be able to look for more money. Who would LeBron rather play with? A team with a bunch of guys who are still on the cusp of breaking out?
Okay, well, if you get rid of Randall, right, but you bring in him and George, now you got to go looking for a thug to go in the middle.
But that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying, because George will come along, right, to wherever LeBron goes, theoretically.
Right.
So it's all about landing LeBron first. So what I'm asking is, let's not put the cart before the horse. Let's just talk about LeBron. We don't care who else is going to come around him, or whether we have cap space for him, or whether the Clippers have more cap space or not. Because once they can get the guy to sign on, they'll promise him anything, right? So what I'm saying is that LeBron with DeAndre and sort of the pieces that they have, right?
Who gets him the ball?
He brings the ball up himself, right?
I don't
He's a point
know
forward.
LeBron's what, 32? Going to be 32 or is 32?
Yeah, 33.
What's he going to want? A max contract?
Absolutely.
I'd keep Randall. I wouldn't do that. I'd get George maybe.
But will
keep
George
Randall.
come without?
I think he would. I think he'd rather. He's from Lancaster.
Yeah, he's an LA guy, but the Clippers are in LA too.
Yeah.
Last time I checked.
Yeah.
Maybe not for long.
Yeah.
I'd rather keep Randall, get George, and maybe go after Kawhi Leonard or Klay Thompson next year.
But is LeBron going to wait for a year? Because again, I'm being Corey.
Yeah.
Clippers won 42, Lakers won 34.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does LeBron want to go to a team that's closer to 50 wins? With the team that has a defensive center, guy who can defend the rim, and some guys who can shoot the ball and take some heat off of him?
How about LeBron going
to Philly?
Going to Philly, where they've won 15 in a row, and he's in that soft Eastern Conference where he'll make the playoffs every year, probably get to the finals several times. Wouldn't you rather do that than come out west where you're going to bang with big bodies?
I don't disagree with that. I
But
absolutely.
we
that
weren't
could be.
talking about Philly. We're talking about LA.
Yeah, I'm
So,
talking about whether it would be whether he would choose
Clippers
whether
or the
it's
Lakers.
a foregone conclusion that he would choose the Lakers over the Clippers.
Yeah.
And as Corey, I say no. That he wouldn't. It's not a foregone conclusion that he would choose the Lakers
I
over.
can see that. I can see that. But I mean, he's going to have to sit in that room with that owner and say, "Okay, I'm coming, but you got to start spending some money."
Here's the list of players I want.
Well, or suggest or whatever. Yeah. I mean, and if you build it, they would come. But again, you're asking for a guy to be, good at 39. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
I'm just worried about the Lakers in general. I'm worried about the Lakers in general because I look at Lonzo Ball, and that was a first round pick, second pick overall, right? I look at him and I worry because he's doing some good things. He's doing some things well, but he's never going to be a shooter. He might turn out to be a scorer, but he needs to beef up that body. He's shown that he's fragile. That sort of stamina may come as he gets stronger, as he matures. He's still a young man. I get that, but I don't want to count on him with the ball, 10 seconds left, driving to the bucket for number one, because I think he's a wimp, and he's gonna if he gets fouled, he's not going to be able to finish, is what I'm saying,
right?
Because he's too little, and if he gets fouled, he won't be able to make those clutch free throws.
He'll miss them.
He's terrible. So in that regard, I don't see a champion in him. I don't see a Hall of Famer in him. I don't see a perennial All-Star. He may be a guy who can get the perennial All-Stars and the Hall of Famers the ball and elevate that team, but we haven't seen that yet because he's still a rookie. Then we've got a question of Julius Randle. This team still wants to move Julius Randle. Why? Because they're trying to make cap space for guys that they think are better, right? LeBron, Paul George, right? I get that. I understand it.
Yeah.
Kid's a bulldog.
But he can score.
Yeah.
And
he can play big for his size.
5 years from now, there's
Right.
Yeah, who knows where he's going to be? And
LeBron will be
Kuzma
39.
Kuzma was up and down towards the end of the season. Still a good player. Looks like he's going to evolve, but I don't know. Yeah. And then Josh Hart played well, and I think Josh Hart. The ceiling on Josh Hart is too low, as far as I'm concerned. So now you keep looking around. I keep looking around and looking around. It's like, are we going to keep Isaiah Thomas? LeBron won't play with Isaiah Thomas.
Exactly.
He's not going to play with Isaiah Thomas.
No, I don't think so.
And Isaiah Thomas is not going to play with LeBron.
Yeah, and when LeBron comes and says, "Okay, guys, who's your center?" Thomas Bryant? No. Zubats? Wrong answer. Brook Lopez. He'll take a 1-year contract. Okay, could pay. Will he?
Take a 1 year, $10 million.
Will he?
Yeah. Where else?
Why would he do that? If DeAndre Jordan's going to get $28 million, right? He's getting $24 million. So if he opts back in, he gets $24 million. If he opts back out, he's going to be looking for something like $28 million.
Right.
If he can get $28 million, how much can Brook Lopez get? And why would Brook Lopez want to take a $10 million pay cut?
Yeah, exactly.
He won't.
Yeah.
He's not going to.
Yeah.
I don't care how close LA is to Fresno or wherever the hell he grew up, right? Or Bakersfield or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
How many more years do you have?
That's right.
Just keep playing somewhere. Get paid.
Yeah.
So that's a problem for me.
Yeah.
And then there are plenty of other guys who this team can't shoot free throws. This team can't shoot.
No.
I agree.
I don't see it. They're too young, and I don't think they know what they have yet, which is why they're trying to go out and get 2 free agents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And at what cost?
Oh, yeah.
At what cost? I don't know. I'm worried about them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Like
agree.
I said.
But likewise, I think Clipper fans should be worried about what's going on with the Clippers because they're one miscue away.
What's Doc got? 1 year left on his contract? I think he's got 1 year left.
But will they keep him? Won't they keep him? A lot of adversity. Not that this. I don't think any of this had anything to do with Doc.
No.
Yeah.
None of this was Doc's fault.
I agree.
Yeah.
This was injuries at bad times. They moved some guys to try and get it, and they had more injuries.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, not much he could do. He can't shoot the ball or.
Yeah.
Rebound the ball.
Right.
So
exactly.
this is you said it's the first time since whenever the no LA representative, but it's the first time in years that there's been no New York, Chicago, or LA representative in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's even more telling for the
Wow.
NBA.
Yeah.
No team from
Three
New York,
majors, three
no
majors.
team from the New
Top
York
three
area,
markets.
no team from Chicago, no team from LA.
Wow.
Yeah, top 3 markets.
Good point, good
their
point.
ratings are going to go right into the tank.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I didn't know that. That's crazy. Where it used to be Chicago, LA, New York all the time.
Oh yeah, one of those
Forever, yeah.
2 of them would be in the. John hates Bonzo Ball. Do you want to talk about that at all? That JBL.
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about it
JBA.
a little bit. I mean, he's striking while the iron's hot, and this is clearly a situation where the FBI investigations, where there's talking about compensating, basketball players or college amateur players, and compensating them in some way beyond their scholarships, and the NC2A holding sort of strict to the rule that you can't come out, you have to be 19 years old before you can enter the draft, and so because of that collusion that they've got going on between the NC2A and the NBA, and the NC2A is going to have to change. If they don't change their rules about the one and dones, so allowing those kids to come out before, right? And then holding them to even 2 years, right? Then this just opens the door wide open for somebody like, LeVar to come in and with this stupid little junior basketball league, right, that pays kids money. There are plenty of kids who don't want to go to school,
Right.
and they look at a $20,000 payday and say, "I'll take it," because not everybody is
That's true.
an Ayton, who's getting money under the table and will come out after his first year and make millions of dollars. Not every kid is that. And if a kid can make some money legitimately above the table while he's waiting to see where he might go in the draft because he's foregone the NC2A, the NC2A could have a problem. If I were the NC2A, I'd worry if it were somebody more reputable and less abrasive and more credible than this idiot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the only thing that they have going for it, is that this is a moron. Right?
Well, they're going to, sorry to interrupt here, but, they're going to get that from the football side too, because Brady's agent, Don Yee, is doing the same thing in football. He's doing a deal where for 3 years, they're going to have 4 teams, and then they're going to get 2 more in Texas and 2 more in Florida, and they're going to build every single year. And all their football teams that they're putting together, they're going to pay kids from, $10,000 to, $20,000 a year to go get educated, and all their football teams will be running pro offenses. So it'll be all based on how the NFL runs their offenses and their defenses. So when the kid comes out of there after 3 years, right, they'll go to junior college, they'll get junior college education, right? They'll go to local junior colleges for their school. But when they go back to the campus or wherever they're going to be for football, they'll all be playing all based on on professional football defenses and offenses. So when they go into the draft, they're prepared.
They're prepared.
And he's raised millions and millions of dollars, and I think he's only about $15 million from getting it going. Now,
yeah, I would be worried about what level of talent he's going to get. Because if I'm
And is that going to bring
because if I'm Nick
football down?
Saban, that's just like recruiting against another college. It is.
Yeah.
So I'm still going to get my best guys, and whoever you can get, you can have.
Right.
Not every program is Alabama, and not every coach is Nick Saban.
Right.
But for me, I'd be worried about that. That who are they going to get? And if they can't get the top guys, and I can't watch them on TV, and I can't get paid by a TV deal, I'm not going to watch that. And if there's only 4 teams and they're all playing each other, I'm not going to watch their practices, and I'm not going to watch a passing league,
Right.
and I'm not going to watch them train. That's just dumb, right? So it sounds like it could work and that they could build on it, but when it comes out initially, I don't think anybody's worried about it. I don't think Nick Saban's worried about it. I don't think the NC2A is worried about it. But talk to me again in another year.
Yeah, maybe a major network might not be taking it on, but I mean, everybody can go to YouTube now and Netflix, and somebody like that might take it on, to watch.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just saying that there's other avenues other than the major networks, So,
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that it'll be like watching reruns. It's like, oh, they're playing that same team again?
Yeah.
Because they've only got 4 teams in the league?
Yeah, for the 4th time this season.
But again, they're not worried about a national championship. They're just worried about
Getting ready for the polls.
how these
Next
kids are.
level.
Then that just sounds like training camp.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Probably.
So,
a
and I
little
won't
bit.
watch that.
Yeah.
But
Exhibition
other people
game.
will.
I'm curious to see how it goes. Yeah.
John with his raid cap of the
The
Masters.
Masters. Wow. Well, did you get to watch any of it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Did you? It was. I really don't watch. I don't really sit down and be engulfed in because I watch a lot of the rerun. From Thursday through Saturday. But I do watch when the last 3 to 4 groups hit the 10th tee. That's when I sit down and I'm focused. It was. I thought the back nine was very exciting. You had Spieth making a run. He bogeys the last hole to miss the course record by a shot. Yeah, you had Ricky Fowler just hanging in there, making a run. Being patient, hitting golf shots, coming down the stretch. Patrick Reed. He's a bulldog. He's he's got great match play experience. I mean, he'll take on anybody. He's not afraid of anybody. But he also has a lot of demons behind him, and a lot of. I'll be honest with you. I think a lot of the membership, the Masters membership people, knowing his past, probably were not rooting for him. I'm just gonna say that candidly.
Right.
He's got a wife that's very aggressive person. It's interesting how he doesn't have a major sponsorship on his bag anymore. He's got a loose bag of kind of buffet table of clubs because nobody wants to sign him. He's got a past to him of doesn't have a relationship with his mother and father and his sister. Just a lot of stuff that he's in college. He was accused of cheating and just there's a lot of demons behind him, and I hope that's all done right. He's after he won his 3rd tournament on tour, he told everybody that he was the top 5 best player in the world. A lot of players kind of turned to him and said, that's a very aggressive thing to say,
Exactly.
knowing who's out here. He was a small kind of I guess what do I want to say? Survey was out there on most hated players on tour, and he ran second to Bubba Watson. And what was interesting is who was the first guy to greet him off the 18th green to give him a hug was Bubba Watson. So that being said, I thought it was a very gutsy performance. He hung in there. He took everything. He hit great shots coming down the stretch, and I thought it was a great finish. Now, how he handles this when it comes to the media and being the Master champion for this whole year, it's a wait and see, right? He took a picture, I heard, at the top of the Eiffel Tower, at the Empire State Building, and he took a selfie, and he goes, "I'm just here with my family." There's nobody behind him, right? So he's just kind of he's kind of saying those kind of things. my guys, I think I picked Rose to win. He came in 12th. He just never had that big round. Casey made a late run. He tied for 15th, and he bogeyed the last 2 holes. But he shot 7 under. He had it like 8 or 9 under at one point coming through the stretch.
Yeah, really.
McIlroy tied for 5th. I actually was rooting for him due to the fact that I liked him to get that personal Grand Slam. But his just hitting guided iron shots and not putting very well coming down the stretch kind of hurt him, obviously. And then Spieth came in 3rd, and he just made a late run also with a great last round. Kuchar tied 28. But, overall, I thought it was a great golf tournament because of the buzz and everything that was happening on the last round, in the back nine. was quite interesting. There was not a lot of wind. They usually have to deal with a lot of wind down there, and
Exactly, yeah.
there wasn't a lot of wind there on the last day, where that can get in a lot of guys' heads. But overall, I thought it was a great Masters. So.
I did too. I loved Sunday. I loved watching it, and I know that CBS and the PGA would love it when Tiger's in the hunt, and that's all fine and good. But the thing that I love the most, and that I pointed out to a friend, is that the top 5 coming down the stretch on Sunday, it was Reed, 27 years old, Spieth, 24 years old, Rahm, 23 years old, Rory McIlroy, 28, and the oldest guy, Ricky Fowler, 29 of that 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, I love that.
That's a good
That's
future for the
amazing.
game, yeah.
And I love that. And, and next year, maybe it's going to be Phil and Tiger. Maybe it's going to be some of those older guys. But this year, and for many tournaments, many majors, and in the future,
That's good.
these names. These are the face of golf.
Right. And then you look at it. What's happening in September? You have a Ryder Cup. American, 1. American come in 2nd. American come in 3rd. And European come in 4th or 3rd.
Yeah,
4th. European. And so this Ryder Cup could get quite interesting.
Yeah. Exactly.
So like he said, these young guys that are coming down the stretch and playing in these big tournaments, they're all going to be going at each other in September too. So that was great too. So
All right.
overall good. So
I was happy for Ricky. That kind of thing. You felt like things were sort of, you could be slipping away from him in majors, that he wasn't playing up to where the expectations were for him. But if not for almost virtually a perfect round from Reed, who really took every blow that came his way.
Right, and he parred 13 and 15. He didn't make birdie on those holes, and you usually have to do that to win. But Ricky posted a score that usually wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all you can do.
A tremendous 4th round. So.
Yeah.
All right, before we get out, I'll just mention the scoreless soccer weekend. Galaxy blanked by Sporting Kansas City 2-0. They fall to 2-1. The LA Football Club shut out by Atlanta 5-0. They are 2-2. Galaxy is in Vancouver, Galaxy is in Chicago Saturday, and the LA Football Club is in Vancouver Friday.
And my question is, if a goal is not scored in LA football, soccer, did the games actually happen? That's my philosophical question. I say no.
We'll give ourselves a week to think about that.
Golden Knights 1, Kings 0 after 1.
After one.
And Angels up 5-1, top of 8.
Okay, that's good.
Dodgers 2-1, I want to say.
Hey, they got one back.
Yeah, you got one back. So
Oakland's got the 2?
Yes,
Oakland's got
Oakland
the 2.
got the 2 in the first.
Actually, Peterson was knocked in for the run, so he got on base.
He must have gotten on.
He got hit by pitch.
All right. I think
Hit by pitch, bunted over.
Catcher's interference.
yeah, pass ball. All right, I think that'll do it for this week. We will see you guys next week, and we are out.
Good night.
Peace.